And hello once again, everybody. I'm Mike Acosta alongside Adam Greer. Welcome to Houston City Beat Live. So happy to have you here tonight, Adam. How's it going?
It's going fantastic, and I'm glad to be here, Mike. Thanks for having me. This is
Hey,
great.
no problem. I'm glad that you're here because we're going to talk about some things tonight that is really near and dear to me. When I was a kid, my dad and some other people sometimes used to say, everything's a joke to you, right? And when somebody would say that to me, it made me laugh even more. And you have written two books about laughter and humor and jokes and everything. So I want to talk about that and also tell people how to get them. But tell me, we have two books here, and here they are on the screen. We have one called Morning Chuckles, the perfect blend of coffee and humor, and then we also have Joketastic Adventures, and they both center around humor, but one is more for adults. It's not adult humor, but we're not talking like Richard Pryor or anything
No,
like that. But it's there, and then we have one, the Joketastic Adventures, which is for kids and building confidence. So tell me a little bit of the inspiration behind this, because I think it's a great story how you have it.
well, it's I've told jokes most of my as far as I can remember. My kids have grown up with it. Now my grandchildren are growing up with it. I love a good dad joke. I love to get people laughing. The more I can get you to laugh, the more eye roll I can get out of you, the happier I am. And so it just kind of rolled into this book. I had no idea I would write a book on jokes, and you know how many jokes are brand new. Every joke's been told most times.
Yeah.
But tailored them to my own style, that type of thing. That's how I would handle jokes when I was telling them. So I went to work on a book, figured, let me see if this has a place and if I can actually produce a book. And I did. It's gone well. And from there, because my grandkids have grown up hearing me tell jokes, my granddaughter actually said, why don't you write a joke book for kids? And well, that's where it birthed. And I used my grandkids and my test subjects to see if the jokes are appropriate, and not appropriate in maturity, but just can they handle, catch
Sure.
the joke, make sure they can get the punchline, understand where it's going, and things like that. So that's how they were both born. Just
That's awesome. That's
yeah,
awesome. And I understand that, like, in the book, so there it's actually documented, like, what their age was and when the joke came about, their contribution into the book. So this is like a nice, other than great content for people to read and see and enjoy, this is also a time capsule for the family, right? That
yeah.
it's a
So
legacy project for you.
it's a legacy project, 100%. We didn't mention it, but yeah, my grandkids have all contributed. At least one joke. Some of them have written a couple. My adult children have all put a joke or two in the book, and so throughout the different sections, they're scattered around with their identity and the age at the time of telling me the joke. It's just what it is. Just say, hey, give me your favorite joke. Some of them are kind of silly and goofy, but that's the age that they're at, right? And so forever they're in this book. Yes.
So when you have when you got together and you're building these jokes, and the kids are there, your kids are there, and everybody's together. Is at one point, because you know how it is when people who really enjoy jokes, and I would imagine that some of the grandkids, they have that sense of humor that you have, right?
Yeah.
So is there a point where it's like, okay, all right, okay, we're done, all right, it's serious now,
It,
and they're continuing to carry on? Did that ever happen there?
oh yeah. Yeah. We can get to the point where it's like, okay, are we done tonight? Can we go to bed now? Can we stop? And we're often reading Joketastic Adventures around the dinner table now since it was
Oh, that's
released.
awesome.
It's in the house, so they'll be like, "Can we do some jokes before we leave the table?" And I have quite a few living with me. So we have six of my sorry, uh, gotta count them out. We got seven
Is
of
your
my
last name Brady or is it
yeah,
Greer?
yeah, seven of my grandkids currently live with me just because of different situations.
Yeah,
And parents are here too. It's not like it's anything like that. And
yeah.
so they want these jokes told, and we spend some time in them. So it's been fun.
You ever feel like you get a taste of your own medicine, from when you were a younger kid and you just kind of carried on, and now through the grandkids, they're kind of paying it back to you?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And they try to get me. They try to see if they can make me bust. So we'll have some dad joke offs, and their goal is to get me to lose it. And it's not easy.
Yeah.
I've been straight with them. So, but my goal is often to get them to crack too. So it's fun. We have a lot of fun.
Yeah. So it's great. It's a legacy project. It really ties the family together. It provides very positive family experiences. But I also want to talk a little bit about some of the larger scale goals and factors that go into it, because through this, one of your intentions there is that it builds confidence in children, right?
Right. That's the thing. Using humor, because everybody their guards go down, but I want them to learn how to deliver a joke. So at the end of each section, there's some exercises, some penmanship. They have to write out their favorite joke, two of them, and then they have to commit to telling one of those jokes, if not both of them, to somebody during the week, and just to get them used to delivering. That's been the thing with my own grandkids is getting them to tell the joke, and they'll just blow through it real quick. And okay, let's talk about timing, and but it helps make them feel confident. They love having a joke ready at a party. They love till I hear them. Sometimes
Yeah, yeah.
they'll be
And
talking to
that's
their friends.
Yeah, those are good communication techniques too, because like you mentioned at a party, that's something that I like to do when I'm around people that I haven't met. I find something maybe a little humorous. I like to throw a little tidbit about it out there and get some people laughing, and it just kind of breaks the ice. And it's also good, like in the future when they get older and they become adults, you always have that elevator chat, with people. You never know
Right,
when that's going to come up. And being a good conversationalist and a good communicator is really important across a lot of different pathways in life.
right. Yeah, I think it's a lost art anymore.
Yeah,
It's kids just if they can't use emojis or just letters
yeah,
and they'll speak like that. So I wanted them to have fun and learn and grow their confidence. So that's really the bigger heart behind it. If I was going to
yeah.
write something for them, I might as well make something that they can take into their adulthood.
Yeah. Yeah. You talk about the emojis and all that, and again, I love humor too. And I have a teenage son, and he and I act like we're both 5 years old sometimes, and some of the things that we laugh about. And one of the big things that we do, and again, this is part of the communication, but sounds in reels and videos, like there's a sound, and forgive me because I'm about to do it, but it's like, oh, and there's another one that yells out a certain f bomb, but it sounds like it's echoing, and it's not the full word, but
Ah,
there's all these different jokes that are actually sounds and emojis. So it's
right,
really good to get a structure together, where they're actually putting words and delivery together. That's really great.
right. And to watch them own the jokes, that's been fun for me. And I hope that happens for every family that gets the book. But to watch them, even to contribute a joke to the book, they
Yeah.
wanted to do it. They were eager to do it. And I started it well over a year ago too. So some of them have aged along the way, and they ask about why I'm not 12 anymore. And but it's okay. You gave me the joke. I put it in. You were 12 at the time. To try to, but they've matured in their own telling, and they want to retell the joke. And I did let them tweak it a little bit. They needed to,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
watched them grow as I'm putting it together. They matured even in their joke telling, and it was fun to watch them want to correct the way they said it before and change some wording, or especially one of my grandsons. He actually wrote his. Man, he must have tweaked that thing. I don't know how. I can't even remember how many times, but constantly improving it. And but
Yeah.
that is the goal of it. So I watched it happen in my own family. And I hope it will happen in other households.
That's awesome. So they're respecting the craft, and other families can have that same experience too, because that you're not going to be the only family that enjoys those values and that time spent together, and quality time that's spent
Right.
together through that book. And
Yeah.
and do you think that maybe in the future that as the grandkids grow older, there might be other volumes of the book that might be where they do it for their kids or grandkids, right?
Yeah, and it's really set up for that for sure, and it's intentional that it's not meant to be one and done. I don't know if I'll do another one. They'll help do it more to be bigger contributors. Certainly, I my couple of my grandkids love to write now because they watch me writing all the time. So they're always bringing me the little books they're writing, and they're trying to put stories together. And So whether it's joke books or they go into writing, fictional books which one of my granddaughters, she's loves telling some stories, let me tell you, and she's
Yeah.
loves putting it in book form. So whatever it encourages in them is the bigger point. If it's not a joke book, I will love to be part of that. But as long as they're telling stories, leaving
Yeah.
legacy.
That's awesome. That's amazing because there is a craft to storytelling and communication and I think especially in this world that we live in today of such short sound bites, short
Yeah,
attention spans, it's really incredible to have the ability and tools out there to really engage with that in
right,
general. Yeah.
right.
Yeah, we're talking with Adam Greer here on Houston City Beat Live. Adam is an entrepreneur. He's an author. We have the books there on the screen, Morning Chuckles and Joketastic Adventures. You can find them on Amazon right now, right?
Yes, yeah, they're
Yeah.
live.
Yeah. So go out there and buy them. Let's talk a little bit about Morning Chuckles a little bit more. I know we talked a lot about Joketastic, but Morning Chuckles, let's go back to that a little bit because it's kind of it's a great companion to the Joketastic Adventures.
Yeah. So there's a reason it's yellow. That's the first clue because it's I want you to start your morning cheerful.
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
than the sun, right? So that's why it's a yellow cover, and it's really we can wake up so I'm facing the day, or you sit down with your coffee cup and crack up at a joke in your own head. Maybe when you get to work, tell someone at work, and so that's really where it's geared towards is start the day with laughter, and
Yeah, yeah,
it is
yeah.
that'll change everything. If you can
It
smile
does.
out the door, you will be happy the rest of the day.
100%. I totally agree with that. I used to have a coworker who was a very good friend of mine, and you know what what we used to do? He was a radio disc jockey for a long time, and I was born into communications too, and all this and that. We used to call each other on our office phones and just carry out this skit like he was a warehouse manager, and I was going to be bringing the truck, and we'd go through this whole thing and just keep in character, and then just hang up after about 5 or 7 minutes and just laugh about it because we managed to carry this incredible fake skit out there.
Yeah,
And it
it's
just,
funny.
that was the environment.
It's funny you say that. My brother and I, since we were little, living in the same, we grew up in the same bedroom, we had this running joke that we started telling when we were kids. It's called, I would look at my brother and say, hey, you know what you ought to do? And he goes, no, what ought do I do? And we just make up these crazy, you ought to do this stories. And they always involve some kind of a wheel. You had to make a vehicle out of a wheel, a unit, whatever it was. And so we still do it to this day. And it's my grandkids. They know the jokes too. They hear us on the phone. They've watched us do it in front of each other. And it is some of the silliest. I wish I recorded all those. That would be a good book. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I was
good.
going to say, did you ever do fake radio shows or kind of skits when
Oh
you
yeah.
were a little kid? Did
Oh
you
yeah.
do that?
Yeah. Yeah. I was the oldest in the home, so I had to lead the charge on everything. But yeah, we created weathermen. There's something about being a weatherman that was a big one. And that's I mean back when you had to carry the recorder. I mean the
Yeah,
cassette recorder. That's but that with the microphone on it. That
that's
was
right.
our thing. We were news reporters, but yeah, we've done skits and my son. I'm embarrassing a little bit. There's a skit he and my daughter produced called Streblo, the story of Streblo. I love it. They made a video and everything about it. They were teenagers. It is one of the funniest things I love. I've got a copy of it, the video, and they hate that I have it still, especially my son. But they made these characters. They created this whole skit, and I wish he'd let me share it more
Oh,
openly.
it's a shame it's not here right now. We could have
Yeah,
overlaid that
love it.
video.
I would love it, but he would probably be over here before this interview's over. But I see it. But again, so I put it into my children. I've watched now they're putting it in their own children, and I'm putting it into their children. And
Yeah,
it's a fantastic way to be a family. Joking
yeah,
and laughing is fun around my house.
yeah. Did you watch late night television
Oh
when
yeah.
you were, who was your favorite?
Oh man. Saturday Night Live back in the day,
Yeah,
back in my
yeah,
day.
yeah.
I loved Eddie Murphy when he was on there. But before Eddie, Belushi and Chevy Chase and all the original Gilda Radner. I love Gilda Radner, and and I grew up with all that. My parents watch Saturday Night Live, and they would occasionally let me sneak in, but that was, Saturday Night Live in my day was, that was adult humor for sure.
It
But
was a little bit different.
yeah. And so they would let me watch it, but Belushi, John Belushi, hamburger. That hamburger,
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with it, but I loved Saturday Night Live growing up, and tried to mimic a lot of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And what if you had to pick a comedy movie, what's your favorite comedy movie of all time?
Young Frankenstein,
There you go.
100%. When Gene Wilder stabs that scalpel in his leg, yes, dismissed. That is, I die at that laugh every time.
It's amazing. So humor and comedy is so healing. It's so good for the soul.
Yeah,
You can have a day that goes the opposite direction of what you planned, and a lot of what's funny is I used to where I was working before here in Houston City Beat. I used to work really late at night, and I would get really really tired. I used to work in baseball, and I would come home sometimes at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was just dead tired. But you know what I would listen to? Comedy. I
yeah.
would put comedy on because it would keep me awake and it would put me in a better
Oh yeah,
mood before I got home.
yeah.
Because it does a lot of good for the psyche, for the soul, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
just good stuff. Yeah. So, how about a favorite comedian of all time?
Oh man, Chevy would definitely be in the top category. Belushi was fan. Gene Wilder, uh,
Yeah.
Richard Pryor. Those are all. But from a stand up perspective, Steve Martin.
Oh
I
yeah, yeah,
love
definitely.
Steve Martin's stand up stuff.
Yeah,
Uh,
all the '70s stuff. It
oh
was
yeah,
very groundbreaking, and a
absolutely.
lot of those guys that you talk about during those time periods too. They were breaking new ground in a medium. Trying things. The evolution of television from being a little bit more straight and narrow. Coming out of the '60s, especially coming out of the '50s, but into the '70s where they're doing live television and they're
Yeah,
trying things. And the stand up realm changed from what it was in the 60s. It just became more I guess the personality driven of a comedian. I don't know what other term there
right.
is for that.
You know what? My probably most favorite thing. Speaking of TV, the Carol Burnett show.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
the ad libbing and the live part of it, and they would try to crack each other up, and you'd have to turn and hide. They're just getting ready to
Yeah.
just roll. I
Yeah.
just thought that was some incredible comedy on
Yeah. I
television.
used to love it too when we would watch Three's Company
Three's
and
Company.
Mr. Roper would break the fourth wall.
Yes, yes,
He's looking over here and the camera's looking, and he would go,
yes, yes.
you
Uh,
know, just that. And Johnny Carson was, always had the one-liners and the,
yeah,
the
Johnny,
conversations.
fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah, just some. I think we grew up in some amazing times where everything was less political. There was a lot of freedom.
yeah.
People could say not necessarily what they wanted to say, but you just didn't get as much pushback as you do
Right.
now with some of the content.
Because we understood humor is humor, and for humor to get a laugh, there has to be some truth mixed into it. It can't
That's
all be just a made up thing. You have to
that's
have
right.
a real life scenario and joke about it. We've
Yeah,
lost we've lost that. It's
yeah.
unfortunate, but
And
we
you think about that too, and one of the after September 11th, right? What was one of the first things that came back? September 11th, horrible, right? And I think now too, we're literally going to be 25 years since that happened, and there are generations of people who were not born or they were a toddler, and
yeah,
they don't have the impact of what that day was like. But back during that time, 24 hours a day, that's all you saw ground zero, you saw what was going on, you saw what was going on overseas, and there's all this talk. That's all you saw and heard. One of the first things to come back, and they really pushed, was David Letterman. He
yeah.
came back, and he was one of the through humor and through his monologue on his late night program
One
on
of the greatest
CBS.
ones. Yeah,
Yeah, he delivered. He kind of brought back. Johnny Carson was already retired, and he kind of brought back the country from
yeah,
that, and said, "Hey, you know what? We're gonna be okay,"
yeah,
and kind of broke the ice there.
yeah. It's when something like that happened, tragedy or something in your own personal life, we feel almost guilty when we start to laugh again.
Yeah.
And it's funny that that becomes, we don't even think that we're going to enjoy a moment, but we start to laugh and then we catch ourselves. Oh, I shouldn't be laughing yet.
Yeah.
But it's the most natural thing. It helps us get through stuff. Go ahead and embrace a good laugh. Yeah, when you're hating life, just laugh. Find something to laugh at.
Yeah.
Laugh at me if you want. But yeah.
So you got a good joke for us? Any put you on the spot? You got your favorite joke?
Well, I'm going to read one out of the book for the kids just to kind of give you an idea of what this is like.
Okay.
So what's blue and smells like red paint?
What's blue and smells like red paint?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Blue paint.
Dad joke, right?
There you go. That's the stuff that's in that book.
Do you have one that's kind of like, hey, Dad, I'm hungry. Hi, hungry, I'm Dad.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a whole section of knock-knock jokes. Those are good. The kids love a good knock-knock. Let me see real quick. Oh, here's a good one. What type of apples grow on a tree?
What type of apples grow on a tree? I don't know.
All of them.
All of them, every one of them. All the red ones, all the green ones.
It's stuff like that. That one right there gets the kids rolling when I tell that one. It's just so simple, but it's like, oh, Dad. But that's it. That's what they're about.
Yeah, but that's the charm to it too.
Yeah.
And I think the humor goes beyond just a humor. It's a connection with you and the kids and the grandkids, and that's what's really important because it keeps that family structure intact in a way that they don't realize, I guess, at a certain age. But then it becomes great memories and they become wiser for it. And, it's just like, I have certain memories of my grandfather, grandmother, things that they used to do or talk about. My grandfather used to do these little skits too and joke and laugh and do all that type of thing. Yeah, that's probably where I got it on my side. But it's a great effort that you're doing here with these books. Again, we're talking to Adam Greer here, who is a author and entrepreneur. He's also a Houston City Beat community connector. You have your own page on Facebook, right? You're on Facebook, and where else can people find you?
I have a couple TikTok channels. The social media. I try to stay young that way by being on top of my social media. But Monday Morning Jokester is one of my TikTok channels, and it has its own TikTok or Facebook page, Monday Morning Jokester, which is kind of we're morning chuckles. I was doing stuff on just Mondays. I was doing live jokes, throwing them up on Monday mornings, and so it was born.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. And there's the awkward silence. There's humor there.
Like, okay, are we
okay, what? Hold on. What here? I don't know what to do with my hands, Adam. I don't know what to do.
If I could just do a quick plug, if anyone knows of a librarian or a way to get this book looked at by the school districts, that's a big thing. I want to see if I can get this thing into school libraries. And
educators that are out there following Houston City Beat, or perhaps they're somebody watching this segment on Instagram or anywhere X. We're all over the place in the Houston community group. Anybody who has some access, these are some really great quality books to have in the libraries for kids to see. It should be in the schools and classrooms. And of course, I think it's a great gift for parents to get the kids too. So they can buy these right now on Amazon, and they can, is it under your name or is it a store name?
W. Adam Greer. So
very good. W. Adam Greer. Just search that out on Amazon and go out there and buy Morning Chuckles and Joketastic Adventures. Well, that's fantastic, Adam. I really appreciate you sharing those stories with us and the background and what humor means to you. And it's really a sincere project for you because anybody can try to write something like this, but this is something that really means a lot to you. It means a lot to your family and it involves your grandkids and kids. So it's a great project. Congratulations on both of these books there.
Thank you. It was great to be here with you guys tonight. So this is great. Thanks.
No, thank you. Once again, that is Adam Greer an entrepreneur, an author. He's a Houston City Beat community connector. If you come out to the community connectors meeting at the Met Athletic Club in downtown Houston on Thursdays, if he can be there, you will get to meet him in person and also
I will be.
hear about his adventures. And I'm sure he'll have some of these books there, and he can talk about his other business ventures as well. So once again, hey, Adam, thanks for joining us tonight on Houston City Beat Live. I really appreciate it.
Thanks again for having me.
And once again, for Adam Greer, I'm Mike Acosta. Thank you for watching Houston City Beat Live. Till next time, so long, everybody.